So what do we learn so far? And this is going to be one of our shorter messages, but I'm going to get to the point. What do we learn so far? When we bring our bikurim to Yahweh, what is one of the things that we have to confess? Say, please accept this, Yahweh, because our fathers were Arameans, and they dwelt in a strange land. They dwelt in Egypt, in Mitzrayim. Number one, we're Arameans. Okay? So, we see. Where do we trace this Aramean blood? Who is first? Rivka, the wife of Laban, the mother of Yaakov. Hello? Who was Yaakov's mother? Rachel, the Aramean. Did Yaakov, i.e. Israel, have Aramean blood?
Rivka.
Yes. Did Rivka, Yaakov's mother, have Aramean blood?
Yes.
Did Yaakov have Aramean blood?
Yes.
You want to pray about it? His mother was an Aramean. Hello? Wait a second. Oh, wait a second. What about Rachel? What about Leah?
Both Aramean.
We know from Bereshit 28 to 31 that Jacob went to Padan Aram to find a bride. See, Zephaniah had it easy. He just came to Miami. Okay? It's shorter from South Africa to Miami. No, it's not. It's longer, but it's worth it. So Eliezer went to Padan Aram to find a bride for Yitzchak. Yaakov went to what? Padan Aram to find a bride for Yaakov. Who did Yaakov wind up with? Leah.
Yeah.
Who did he work for?
Laban.
Rachel. He worked for Rachel, and Laban changed the terms of the agreement, gave him Leah, and he goes, I don't want Leah. I work for Rachel. Because Rachel found favor in Yisrael's eyes.
Yeah.
Now wait a second. Who was Leah's father?
Lavan.
Lavan the Aramean.
Yeah.
Who was Rachel? Who was Rachel's sister?
Leah.
Leah. Who was Rachel's father?
Lavan.
Laban the Aramean. Okay, now wait a second. Time out. Both Jacob's wives were Aramean.
Wow.
Yes.
Syrians. Arameans. Syrians. Living in an area that is east of the Jordan, okay, that is south of Iraq, and on the eastern side of the Yarden. Okay? I'm not going to go there now. But the point is, both Yaakov's wives were Aramean. It's possible we've been lied to. I was told that they were Jews. If you go to most, can we talk? If you go to most Messianic congregations or even churches, they'll teach you that these were the early Jews.
Yeah.
Not only were they not the early Jews, they weren't the early Israelites.
Yeah. I've heard them called Hebrews.
And they're not even Hebrews.
Right.
They were Syrians or Aramites or exalted overcomers from the land of Aram. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Now wait a second. How many tribes, how many sons were born to Yaakov? 12.
12.
But wait a second. We determined how many wives did Yaakov have.
Yeah.
But not all 12 tribes were born through the two ladies. So in other words, Rachel and Leah had who as their father? Lavan, making them what? Aramites. But Jacob was also an Aramite, marrying another Aramite, because Jacob's mother was Rivka, the Aramite, the sister of Laban. Well, my pastor didn't tell me this. I know that, darling. I understand that. That's why we're here. That's why Yahweh put you here. Because you go to that place and they'll tell you, now we're going to go study the history of the Jews. Let's turn to Genesis chapter 12. Let's turn to Genesis chapter. We're going to study the history of the Jews.
We're just learning it. They'll learn it soon.
Baruch Hashem Yahweh. So the Arameans are the heritage of our people. Now, how many sons did Yaakov have? 12. But Rachel and Leah were both Arameans, but there were two other people involved. Zilpah and Bildah. Now, I wish I had some handmaidens nowadays, but that would get me in a whole lot of trouble with my wife Rivka and with Yahweh of hosts. I mean, only, you know what I'm saying? So Yahweh, make sure I don't run into a Laban. I'm going to be muerta.
Vamos.
So anyway, now who were the other two matriarchs? Zilpah and Bilhah, correct. Well, where did they come from? Oh, they were Jew. Now I know where the Jewish blood comes from. Zilpah and Bilhah, they were the Jews, right? Wrong.
They were slaves.
They were Arameans. They grew up in the house of Laban, and by Torah definition, not only were they biological Arameans, even if they weren't biological Arameans, when there is no stranger, there is no ger, there is no alien,
Yes.
that the stranger is as the alien. So by Torah principles,
Yes.
even if you can't prove that Zilpah and Bilhah were physical, biological Arameans, by dwelling in the house of Laban, they were equal to Rachel and to Leah, because according to Torah, you cannot differentiate. And you probably don't have to differentiate. They were Arameans. Make sense?
Makes sense.
You won't hear this anywhere. Okay? Because either they don't know it or they won't teach it. And if they do know it, they'll twist it to cover their tracks. So they can keep subjecting you instead of making you equal heirs in Israel. That's what the church system does. That's what Judaism does. I'm against all isms. I'm not an Islamist, pessimist, negativist. I am Catholic. None of the is or isms.
Or Urza.
Because they are systems of religion that are designed to subject you into the haves and the have-nots, into the know-it-all and know-it-nots, into the superior versus the inferior. You can't claim to be in those systems and not be a slave. You are a slave if you haven't come out of those systems. Which is why Yahweh says, come out of her, my people. Don't change it. Don't mess with it. Don't tinker with it. Don't play with it. Don't try to adjust it. Come out of it.
That's right.
That's the bottom line.
Because either they know this, and like Jewish Israel willingly changes the translation to make Jewish people appear superiority, that, oh, they'd have no link to the Arameans. Or the other system, the Sunday system, that teaches what? Well, these are the history of the Jews. And since these are the history of the Jews, we're the new Jews.
They probably looked in the stone edition.
So that both houses are wrong. Both houses have leaven. So where do we go to get our teaching? Right on, from the Ruach HaKodesh and the Word of Yahweh.
Amen.
Baruch Hashem Yahweh. That's right. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. So Zilpah and Bilhah were also from the house of Lavan, or Arameans. Okay? Yaakov is an Aramean through his wives and handmaidens and his mama. I don't know if he had a whole lot of anything but Aramean blood. And, excuse me, Jacob means Israel. Jacob's name was changed to Israel, and the 12 sons became the 12 sons of Israel, listen, meaning the first Jew. Can we have a Nazarene quiz? Christopher, you make quiz with me, okay? Can we have a quiz? Who was the first Jew?
Judah.
Yeah.
Who was an Aramean?
Yehuda.
Yehuda.
He was the first so-called Jew because he was Judah. But in fact, he was an Aramean because all Yaakov's boys were Arameans. What's another way of saying Aramean? And hang on for this one, sweetheart. Syrians.
Syrian.
Yes.
Oy, Gaval. You think we had problems before? Matter of fact, that some Bibles translate the term Arami as Syrian, but it's more actually translated Arami. But it can also mean Syrian. Why? Oh, they lived in the land. Where was Padanaram? Modern day Syria.
Right.
Well, wait a second, Rabbi. What about Abraham? I'm glad you asked. Let's go to Bereshit. I'm glad you asked. Bereshit 11. Is anyone enjoying? Other than, come on. Other than
Oh, man.
Bereshit. Bereshit 11. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Now you know I did their wedding because I get a lot of amen. So if you want me to do your wedding, start shouting, sweetheart. Because I don't do weddings for pagans or non-shouters. Messianic Baptists. This is not a home for Messianic Baptists. Trust me.
That's right.
Turn to your neighbor and say, I'm not a Messianic Baptist.
I'm not a Messianic.
Bereshit 11.
Or an Aramean Baptist.
That's right. Bereshit 11:31. Let's go back a little bit, please. Bereshit And let's go back to verse, let's go back to verse 26. 27. This is the Toldot, the telling of the genealogy. The Hebrew is Toldot. This is the Toldot of Terah. Terah begot Abram, Nahor, and Haran brought forth Lot. Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his birth. Circle these words. Ur of the Chaldeans. The Chaldeans. Where's Chaldea? Right. Modern day Iraq. Modern day Iraq. Abraham, Nahor, and Haran, the children of Terah, were born and lived and raised in modern day Chaldea or Iraq. Now watch this. But Haran died before Terah in the land of the Chaldees. Abraham and Nahor took wives. The name of Abraham's wife was Sarai. She was a nice Jewish girl, right? Wrong. Who was Sarai? Where did Abraham take Sarai to be his wife? In Chaldea. Hello?
The daughters of Haran.
So that Sarah was a Chaldean. I'll say that again. Sarah was a Chaldean. Abraham was a Chaldean. Are we on? They were not Arameans, they were Chaldeans. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Let's continue.
You see what happened when Rabbi used to make
And Abraham and Nahor took wives. The name of Abraham's wife was Sarai. The name of Nahor's wife Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah, the father of Isaac. And Sarai was barren. She had no child. Terah took his son Abraham, his grandson Lot, son of Haran, his daughter-in-law Sarai, Abraham's wife. They went out. Turn to your neighbor and say they went out. From Ur of the Chaldees to go to the land of Canaan, otherwise known as Eretz Avat Chalav. Chalav Dvash, Eretz Avat Chalav. So they went from Ur of the Chaldees, which is east of the Jordan, through modern-day Iraq, modern-day Jordan, crossed the Yarden heading west, and settled on the West Bank. Now, if Abraham and Sarah were alive today, Kofi Annan would be there, wouldn't he? Get off that Palestinian territory. If Abraham and Sarah went out of Ur of the Chaldees today and settled on the Palestinian-occupied West Bank, they would have Kofi Annan there in a New York heartbeat. See, but in the beginning it was not so.
It'd be occupiers.
So Abraham and Sarai were called to the land of Canaan. Today we know that as Israel, that west of the Yarden. And the days of Terah came to an end. Yahweh said to Abraham, Genesis 12:1, go out of your land, out of your relative's house, out of your father's house, to a land I will show you. Look at the end of verse 5. And they came to the land of Arafat. Canaan. The end of Bereshit 12:5. They came to the land of Canaan. Get out and go to Canaan. To get out, they had to get out of Iraq, cross the Jordan, into the land of Israel, west of the Jordan. Hello?
Yes.
But wait a second. Something's not clicking here. We know that Abraham was a Chaldean. We know that Sarai was a Chaldean. We know that Rivka was an Aramean. Hello? But what was Isaac? Chaldean, mates with Chaldean, produces Chaldean. Yitzchak was a Chaldean. Was he not? Hello? Well, wait a second. Were they Hebrews? Well, yes and no. But not really for the sake of what I'm trying to share with you. So Yitzchak was a Chaldean who married a Syrian, thank you, an Aramean, Tov. But you know what doesn't square up with this teaching? Remember Abraham sent Eliezer, his servant, to take a bride for his son Yitzchak from the house of his fathers, from the house of his family, from the house of his mishpacha, from the house of his brothers and sisters from his house. He said, Eliezer, go take a bride for my son Yitzchak from my house. Well, we know Abraham came from the Chaldeans. So why didn't Eliezer go to the Chaldees? He didn't go back to the Chaldees. He went from the land of Canaan. Did Abraham and Sarai already cross over?
Yeah.
Yes.
They already crossed over.
Yeah.
Then they became Hebrews.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Originally they were Chaldeans. Well, I'm not Jewish. I can't be Israel. How so,
So when
Rabbi?
they
How
crossed
so?
over.
How can I be Israel? How so? Yahweh started this nation with 2 Chaldeans who crossed over to follow Yahweh, His ways, His plan, His purpose, His desire, His will, His land, and they became Hebrews. They were not born Hebrews, they became Hebrews somebody.
Hallelujah.
Yes, that's why we need to cross over. Hallelujah.
And it's an individual choice. Abraham could have told Yahweh, no thanks. And he would have chose somebody else. Don't get me into predestination, please. Not interested. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Okay. So Abraham sends Eliezer from the land of Canaan, his new home, after he crossed over, to look for a bride. Now, why didn't he have Eliezer look for a bride in the land of Canaan?
Why?
Hello?
Good question.
Hello? Why didn't Abraham have Eliezer look for a bride from the land of Canaan? Because the land of Canaan was a land with many pagan nations. He couldn't find a bride for Yitzchak in all those pagan nations. He couldn't send him back to Ur of the Chaldees, because what would he find in Ur of the Chaldees?
Chaldeans.
Chaldeans who were initially and essentially what? Idol worshippers. But where did they go? Where did they go? Wait a second. He called them out of the Chaldees, and then he tells Eliezer, look, go to find a wife for my bride. And we see that, I believe, where? In Bereshit 24. And he said, here, I make you swear, look at verse 3, Bereshit 24:3. I make you swear, he said to Eliezer, to the Elohim of the heavens and the Elohim of the earth, you do not take a wife from my son from the daughters of the Canaanites. Hello?
Yeah.
Yitzchak's wife couldn't come from the Canaanites, because in those days, Canaan was full of pagans. But go to my land and to my relatives. Go to my land and my relatives. Did you get that? 'Cause I'm going to lose you here if you don't stay with me.
Take a wife.
So where were Abraham's land and relatives? Or the Chaldees, right?
Yeah.
Wrong.
Wrong.
Now go down to verse 10. The servant took 10 of his master's camels, standing for the 10 tribes of Israel, looking for a bride, Yeshua, and all his master's good gifts, the gifts of the Ruach. And Eliezer rose to Aram, the city of Nahor. Aram Naharaim. He didn't go to Ur of the Chaldees, he went to Aram, or modern-day Syria.
Yeah.
I ain't something Aramean.
So Abraham and Sarah crossed over into Canaan, but the rest of his family didn't settle in Canaan. They went northeast to the modern area of Syria.
Uh-huh. Man.
And that's where Yahweh started putting Israel together, in Syria, with Syrians.
Uh-huh.
Does that blow you away?
Blows me away.
Hallelujah.
So the idea that you can be Israel without being Jewish is not a novum. It is the actual way that our nation was birthed.
Man.
Baruch Hashem Yahweh. So Eliezer went to a city of Aram looking for a bride. Did he find a bride? Yes, Rivkah was an Aramean.
Yes.
Jacob was an Aramean, Rivkah's son.